What's going on, everyone? It's your boy Ethan. Hope you're having a fantastic day. Back at MGM Springfield, they have another 10-25 game running. I run it back from the last session, right? Things went really well. Still trying to get the permission to film, so I don't know when this vlog's gonna get posted, but when it does get posted, it's gonna be a banger of MGM videos, hopefully. I've never run hotter than a place here. It's just so sick. 5 came in, 10-25, definitely, you know, I'm gonna force the $50 straddle on, so it should be a big game as always. And I'll try to run it up, run hot, and continue this sun run I've been on at this specific location. But let's get into the hands. I'm gonna buy in relatively deep, and I was told that the game's gonna get a little wild, more than normal today. Let's see. Into the 10-25 game here with $30,000 in front. The second hand I get dealt, once again starting things off at MGM Springfield, I pick up pocket jacks in the cutoff. Action folds to me, I raise it up to $75, and every single player left to act makes the call. Looks like everyone wants my money. Button, small blind, big blind are in there. We're off to a flop which comes 10-6 deuce rainbow. Pretty good flop for me overall with the overpair, and when action checks to me multi-way, I decided to size up a little bit to 250. Action folds around to the big blind player, and he actually ends up check raising to 725. I've played with this player a lot in the past, so me and him have some history. And I know he's very capable of bluffing, even though it's a little bit weird on this type of board. But with my overpair, nothing to do right now. I decide on just a call. Now going to a turn which comes the 8 of clubs, board a little bit more connected, but shouldn't be too concerning. And he decides to bet 2,200. What in the world? I don't think I'm able to fold just yet. Like I said, he can certainly get creative with some bluffs, and I don't know if I want to fold my overpair. And here we are with just one pair. I am going to make the call. Let's see a river, hoping to see a brick. It is the 9 of diamonds. So any 7 makes a straight now. Queen jack is the nuts though, and coincidentally, I have 2 jacks. So when he throws out a bet of 3,800, oh my God, he's barreling again and again. I don't think he's going to have a 7 a lot in this spot here at all. And I think it's a pretty weird spot overall when he bets so huge on the turn. So I think with just one pair here, calling just seems totally out of the question, but I'm thinking potentially about raising here as a bluff. I double block the nuts, which would be queen jack, and let's just go for it. Start off hot, first hand in. He has about $12,000 behind this bet, and I go for it. I think all in is going to put a lot of pressure on 2 pair holdings, and even sets can fold as well. So I stick it all in. First hand, 3 deals in. I'm already all in for about 15,000 effective. And this player goes into the tank. Doesn't look happy. So I fade the snap call. He doesn't have a straight, which feels amazing. And now I'm just waiting on him to fold. And after some time thinking, after some deliberation, he ends up folding. All right. That's sweet. Nice to pick up the first hand of the session with a big bluff. And just like that, right off the bat, I'm up a couple $1,000s here already. In the following hand, we go. The $50 straddle's on now. I pick up pocket 6s in the hijack. Play to my right, raises to 150, and I make the call. So heads up to a flop, which comes 5-4 deuce 2 diamonds. He checks it over to me here, and this is a pretty good board for 6s, all things considered. So I decided to bet out on the larger side to 300. And for 300, he comes along and calls. So pretty suspicious of what he could be holding here. We're going to a turn which comes a board pairing deuce. He checks it over to me here, and thinking that he can play a lot of overpairs this way, or don't think I can get that much value from an ace anyways. So I decide to check back. And when the river comes a 3, bank city for me, as any ace makes a straight, but obviously when I have a 6, it's a higher one. He decides to bet now, and it's actually a pretty sizable one. He bets over the pot to $1,200, and we're playing pretty deep against this opponent here. And I'm mainly just trying to think if there's any reason to raise. It's not amazing, of course, that the board is paired. I lose to full houses, but I just don't think he's going to have many full houses as played. He checked the flop, checked the turn, and now when there's 4 to a straight, he bets pretty large. So here I am. I decided to go for a raise, get a lot of value against an ace here. So I size up to a larger side of 4,500. Thinking he'll snap it off with an ace, and I just get paid the max, right? Anyways, upon my raise, he decides to jam. He 3-bet jams this river, and I don't love this at all. After asking for a count, it's a total of $13,200. Back-to-back hands here, I'm put into a pretty tough spot, and I don't love it. Initially, the plan was just to fold to any all-in, but you know, when you're in the situation now, you don't really expect. Like I said, it's really hard to find full houses that he can have here. So here I am thinking that this opponent probably won't be overplaying just an ace. I don't think he'll be overplaying a 6 either, and it's pretty hard to have one as I have 2 of them. Anyways, after a long, painful tank, I decided to just give him the benefit of the doubt. Don't think that he's going to be jamming all in here with anything weaker than a full house, although I don't believe him. I just fold face up, and he ends up throwing his cards in the muck, but does tell me he had pocket 4s? All right, I have no choice but to believe him. Nice hand, I guess he had a full house, and once again, you can't beat pocket 4s. Following that hand, we get into another dicey spot here, sitting with ace-jack in the small blind. There's a hijack open to 150, button makes the call, and here, out of position against these players, I think I'd rather raise than call this bet, so here I am. I size up to $750, trying to bump up the size of the pot, but mainly just trying to take it down pre-flop, but surprisingly, it gets spicy. Both players make the call, so 3 ways to a flop of ace-king-8 rainbow. All things considered, this is a pretty good flop for me. I don't have the best kicker in the world, but sitting with top pair, I decided to check this one as I'm out of position and multi-way. Hijack player bets out 1,050, which is pretty sizable. The button folds, and I'm definitely not going to be folding just yet with top pair. Decent kicker. This hijack player, to note, also doesn't have a whole lot of chips behind him as well, so I make the call for 1050. We're going to a turn which comes the 3 of spades. Brings in a backdoor flush draw, but shouldn't be too relevant as I have the ace of spades. I check once again, and this player fires out 2,300. This bet leaves himself with about 3,000 behind, and overall, I think it's a pretty weird sizing. I think calling seems a little silly to not play for stacks here, as, like I said, he bet about half the amount he has behind. So I decided to go for it. It's just one pair, but I think I'm ahead sometimes, and I don't want to fold this hand, so I jam. When I jam, he snap calls. So the snap call doesn't ever feel great with just one pair. He says he wants to run it twice, and I'm always very indifferent, so I agree with running it twice, and the run out comes a king followed by a jack. And guess what? It all just doesn't matter, as this player had ace king, flopped top 2 pair, and I was already stone dead. Rough hit for my stack, but nice hand to this opponent. Essentially, all the profits I had the first 2 hands are now gone. Just from one hand, I double this player up. The game gets bumped up after this hand to 25, 25, 50, so not a huge difference, but no more red chips in play. And this next hand, I decided to blind raise to $100, as I occasionally do. There's an early position raise to 275 on a short stack. The button makes the call, and action folds to me, and I peel pocket jack somehow. Very well timed $100 straddle. Pretty sick here, and I decided to 3-bet, and my sizing is usually about 4 times the raise out of position plus another 1x for each caller. So I round up his raise to 300 and size up to $1,500. The early position player who raised ends up folding. Then the button thinks about it for a long time, and I'm not sure what he's thinking about, but he ends up jamming. What? Okay, well, before I make the call here with jacks, I think it seems responsible to ask the dealer for a count first. So here I am. Given how the action went pre-flop, I just don't think he'll have a hand better than jacks as played. And when the dealer ends up counting out $7,600, it seems good enough for me to call. Granted, it's a large all-in, but sitting with jacks, there's no right way to play them, and I decided to call. He wants to run it twice, and once again, I'm okay with running however many times the opponent wants to. And when the first run out comes a queen, only 1 card over my pair, just hoping he doesn't have ace queen. The run out number 2 doesn't come anything too crazy either. All bricks on the second one, and when I show my hand, he says that I'm good. So maybe he had ace king, maybe a worse pocket pair, but overall, this was a pretty cool all-in to win. Pretty unexpected to ship over a $15,000 pot my way like this, but pocket jacks, sometimes it pays. So we're on a pretty action and fun table, and what's even better is that the 7 Deuce game is on. Whoever wins with 7 Deuce gets $100 from everyone at the table. So here I have 7 Deuce of clubs on the button. There's an early position open to $150. Given he is the tightest player at the table, I decided to just make the call and play in position here. The big blind and straddle comes along as well. So we're going multi-way to a flop, which comes King 9-7 rainbow, which is kind of cool sitting with the pair. Action checks it over to me, and I'm mainly trying to bet to protect this bottom pair, try to get folds as I can win this and an extra $800 around the table. I bet out $200, praying no one connected, but sadly, I get one caller. The player in the straddle is in there, and we're going to a turn which comes a 5. Overall, pretty safe card, and when he checks to me again, I don't expect to get a king to fold, but I am trying to get a hand like a pair of 9s or draws like 10-8 to fold potentially. So I decided to size up to $650, and music to my ears, he ends up letting it go. So I didn't get the value, quote unquote value of 650, but when I show and table the 7 deuce, I do get $800 from the table, and this is a pretty profitable hand. Ship it to me. The next hand, it's not 7 deuce, but it is a premium. Pocket kings in the cutoff. I open things up to $175 and get some action. Button, small blind, and straddle calls. So once again, multi-way seems to be the theme of this video. The flop comes queen 6-6 2 spades. And when action checks to me, think when we're multi-way, it's cool to check a little bit more and mix in some strong hands to do it. So I decide to do that here. I check, and that induces the button to bet out $250. Action folds to me here, and definitely have a decision to potentially check raise now with my overpair, or I can just play this a little bit more deceptively and make the call. So yeah, I decided on the calling option. I'm in there for $250 and see a turn which comes a 9, going to check and play in flow, and my opponent decides to copy me and check back. Going to the river now, which comes the 9 of spades, so pretty gross board. Flush draw gets there, double paired board. I check it once again, hoping to get the showdown, but when my opponent bets out $475, given this price, given the strength of my hand, I just can't go anywhere, hoping to beat a queen somehow, but I make the call, and he ends up mucking when I show the kings. Kind of expected to have the winner here all the time, and just don't think my hand is strong enough to raise on this board. Things are going well here, clearly just picking up premiums after premiums, and here with ace queen offsuit, I'm in early position, raise it up to $175. This hand doesn't go multi-way, surprisingly, as only the button makes the call, so now heads up to a flop of 10-3-3 2 diamonds. Totally whiffed, sitting with ace queen high, thinking that I have some showdown. I just start off with a check, my opponent checks back. Turn now is the ace of diamonds, so that's a pretty good looking card sitting with top pair. Trying to get value from, I guess, maybe a 10 that checked back, or maybe hands that have 1 diamond in their hand. I decided to bet out $325 with top pair and a good kicker, and for $325, he ends up making the call. Nice to get some value here. The river is the 7 of hearts. Total brick, and I'm sitting with ace queen, thinking my hand is certainly good enough for a bet, and if this player has an ace, it's certainly going to be a smaller one than mine as my kicker plays, and also I think I can get paid a lot of the time here, so I decided to blast off $1,200. And my opponent snap calls. I show the ace queen expecting to win, but he shows 8-7 of diamonds. Flops the flush draw, checks the flop, nails the flush on the turn, and allows an idiot like me to overbet and blast the river. Kind of value owned myself. I guess in hindsight, I didn't have to bet so big, but this guy seems so nice. I thought, why not give him $1,200? For the next interesting hand of the night, I pick up 7 deuce once again, and you already know what's happening here. There's a low jack player who opens it up to $200. Seems like a pretty big raise pre-flop, and I am next to act in the cutoff, and I got to give myself the best chance to win. So I decided to 3-bet this one to $600. There's a lot of value in just getting folds and taking down $800 here, but unfortunately, he makes the call. So we're going to have to battle it out once again, and the flop is king 9-7. Once again, arriving here with a pair, but this time in a 3-bet pot. Thinking king high flops is going to favor me here, but it should also favor the person that called as well. So with the pair, don't think I want to blast just yet. Action goes check, check. Turn comes the 6 of spades, so it's a card under my pair that can't be so bad, and when the low jack decides to lead out for $500, there's a lot of equity in hoping a pair of 7s is going to win. I have showdown, and if I call the 500 and win, I also get, like I said, the $800 on top. So I call 500, hoping to just see a river that doesn't change much. It comes a board pairing 9. That actually seems pretty good so far, and when he checks it over to me, I'm happy to check this one back, and my opponent announces ace high. Let's go win the pot here with just a pair of 7s. I get to show the table, and of course, everyone isn't happy. Very, very profitable hand. There was a good amount of money in the middle there, and on top of that, I profit an extra $800 with the 7 deuce game. For the last interesting hand of the night, I pick up Queen 9 of Hearts, doing it for all you Baccarat fans out there. With the natural, I raise it up to $175, and seems like we're playing a family pot because I get 4 players to call a round. Welcome to the action here at MGM. We're going to a flop 5 ways, which comes Jack 9 7 2 Hearts. Pair and a flush draw seems like a pretty strong flop for me. What's interesting is that the small blind decides to lead into the field for $350. Big blind ends up making the call, and we've got some action here. You know I'm not going away. Don't think I want to raise this hand, so I make the call, and we're going 3 ways to a turn, which comes a board pairing Jack of Diamonds. Not the 9 that I wanted to see paired, but here we are. The small blind continues once again for $950. Big blind folds, and at this point, it seems pretty clear that this player probably has a jack a lot of the time, but sitting with a flush draw along with some equity with my pair if he doesn't have a jack, I think it's an easy call here, so I am in there for $950. Pot's building up here for the last hand of the night, and it comes the Bink 8 of Hearts. Who's surprised? No one, because I run pure here at MGM Springfield. The small blind player bets once again, this time $18.50. Sizing way the hell up, and on this paired board, I just think raising here seems a little bit ambitious. Queen high flush is probably the best hand, but I'm not sure that I can get called by a whole lot if I did raise, so I decided to just make the call. He announces a jack, and I'm not going to make him show anymore as my flush is going to win. Nice way to end off a successful night with a big pot at the end. Oh man, the run here just continues. It's super late. The casino, or not the casino, the poker room's closing down right now as it closes around like 2:30, 2:50 a.m. Just got everything. Got the chips. Cash, turning them into cash takes a long time every time. The funny thing now, what I do when I play cash is that after the Resort World session where I folded queens because I didn't want to like be up stuck or whatever. And now I never know how much I'm up or down throughout the session. I stack my chips in like massive towers, so I just don't know the count. And today was a really lovely surprise. I was in the game for 50,000, out of the game for 59,400. Always a good time here at MGM. This sun run's continuing. Like I said, I don't know when I'll be able to post this, but when you see it, I'm glad that you guys are seeing the footage. And yeah, man, this game's a lot of fun. I'm glad the cash game streaks are going well, and coming out making money is always the goal. And it's crazy to win this much. The past few times here at MGM, it's been a lot of fun. So thank you for following along. I appreciate you guys watching and sticking to the end. It's super late. I'm gonna go home now. I'm gonna go drive back home. So thank you so much for watching this video. Thanks for sticking around to the end. The hands were insane. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.